Microsoft update, would you like to update now? No, this will take 5 minutes.
It's a brave move.
Yeah, I was just gonna say. On the computer, on the way to exist.
I don't have them. All
You
right,
good?
forget it. Just bring up the old plans, I guess.
I'd like to.
Josh, you don't have the email you sent me?
There's our target for tonight, gentlemen.
Did I email them to you?
Who's Jarduzzo? I heard the sound.
Okay.
I heard the sound.
No, we're all good.
All right. When do we start?
I'm good.
All right. Okay, I guess it's 7 o'clock. I'd like to welcome you to the May 7th Planning Board meeting. Would you join in a pledge of allegiance, please? Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Kathy, you want to call the roll, please?
Mr. Anderson?
Here.
Mr. Kashani?
Here.
Mr. Giardina?
Here.
Mr. Kosel?
Here.
Mr. Malta?
Here.
Mr. Mixel?
Present.
Mr. Artuso?
Here.
Mrs. Maltman?
Here.
Mr. Taylor?
Here.
Okay, one of the, again, this is Lochner subdivision. I don't know if anyone is here for that, but that also, again, they're doing some work on drainage and so on there. So they've asked to be tabled again. And that was scheduled as a public hearing, but again, the Lochner subdivision at 1854 Lake Road is tabled. And with that, I suppose we'll move forward. Mark, you want to go with the first one there, Bellaterra?
Bellaterra Section 2 is located near the southwest corner of Salt and Schlegel Roads. The applicant, Tom Thomas of 800 Phillips Road LLC, is requesting final site plan and subdivision approval associated with the construction of 60 townhomes on a 26.8 acre parcel located in a medium-high residential district under Section 269-9 and 296-19 of the Code of the Town of Webster.
Okay. Mike?
Good evening. My name's Mike Ritchie from Costage Engineering. Here tonight representing the owner and developer, Tom Thomas from Tremac Development. We've been in front of this board for Section 2 a couple times, and I believe over those meetings we've gotten good feedback from the planning board and as well as town staff. We have received town comments, a few rounds of comments from the town engineer, and we've responded to those. The most recent round of comments came out, I believe it was a week ago, and we did respond to those last week, and Mr. Artuso just presented me with, I guess, some additional follow-up questions on those comments that we responded to last week. So just as a recap from where we were last month when we were in front of this board, requesting final approval of Section 2, and Section 2 is a Phase 2A and 2B. As you can see, a portion of the development fronting on Salt Road and a portion backing up to the under construction Meadows 2 subdivision. So the plan as it's presented and the subsequent revisions, I feel overall are consistent with the layout of what this planning board did approve during a preliminary approval. We have made some tweaks based on the fact that it's going to be a private right-of-way and private utilities, private stormwater management facilities. All of those adjustments and corrections have been made to the plans. And with that, I believe these most recent comments that we did receive from the town engineer are, I guess, more housekeeping items related to easements that need to be filed. I'd be happy to go through each item if the planning board would like me to. There is one, I guess, item of, more substance than just easements being filed, and that's related to the orientation of one lot and the structure on that one lot in conjunction with the stream. So that specifically is lot 222. And the comment that was circulated from Mr. Chatfield stated that he felt it was too close to the creek's edge and requested that we shift it to provide additional separation. That lot, as it's shown, is exactly as it was placed on the preliminary plan. We do understand the comment, and what we have done is further shifted that structure away. This being the development as it was rezoned and approved, the requirement was 40 feet separation between buildings, and there was somewhere around 45 feet between that and the structure. I believe it was to the east. So we shifted that a little bit farther. It sounds like Mr. Chatfield still has concern about that. I would note that no 100-acre floodplain is present in this area, and the structure as it's proposed is 5 feet above the top of bank. But in sitting with Mr. Thomas, I guess one resolution we do potentially have to that is there's the opportunity to go with a narrower unit for that area to provide even further separation. And potentially even maybe patio home style or no basement in that area if groundwater seepage is a concern as well. Beyond that, all the last round of comments we received were, add sedimentation basin, move topsoil stockpile, call it out, reinforce silt fence instead of standard silt fence. So we believe those are items that generally can be addressed if this board were in a position to approve after the fact, and that plans wouldn't be circulated for signature until all comments were addressed. Now that I'm speaking about it, there was one final comment that I believe, again, not a engineering issue per se, but just something the town wants to get straight, and that's in relation to an access easement. And in speaking with our surveyor in our office as well as the county surveyors, it was pointed out that access easements will need to be granted to each and every lot in this development. Not that it's any issue since it's private, right? The Tom Thomas will own the road and own the units. It's more of not creating what the county calls a landlocked or a legal parcel. So a lot of the lots along Schlegel and Salt all have legal access to a public right-of-way, but these internal lots on a private road will not. So county will accept permanent access easements granted over the private right-of-way, leading to the public right-of-way, as legal access to make it a legal lot. So our solution to that is, working with the developer's attorney and securing access easements over all the lots. And again, that's just, standard easement practice that goes into every subdivision we do. So we're confident that that is the path forward with that, and it won't cause any issues to the town. And quite frankly, it's to the satisfaction of the county before they accept filing the map. So we're confident in the solution to that comment. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have. Thank you.
Yeah, there was another lot in there, Josh. What was that? Do you remember the one we talked about that was really close to that for access to the open space there?
Access
I don't remember the lot number.
Are you referring to the ones that were near the revised retention pond?
Yeah, the one where access to the open parcel, and it was real narrow. I suggested maybe changing that, cutting that lot at an angle. I don't remember the lot number though. Mike, also, these blueprints you're sending, they're ridiculous. We don't need those things.
Too big?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
We'll go with reduced
I
size.
tried to open that thing. If you ask any one of these board members, they just got it.
You got a
number one.
tablecloth now.
And number two, they haven't even had an opportunity to open the thing up. You'd have to clear your kitchen table off.
Understood. Yeah, and we sent electronic
And-
files as well.
Yeah, but that doesn't help us. I mean, hell, what am I gonna do with that? I want a piece of paper I can open and actually see the overall picture,
Understood.
We should have that. And that's part of what you have been informed to bring in. It's not something new. I mean, we've got, what's the next project here? Westwood. There's what we get right there. It's accessible. We can open this thing at a table or desk and see what we're looking at. So please, follow up with it, will you?
Okay.
All right, anyways, did you find it there, Josh?
No.
There was access to one of the lot, from to the open area, to the open space area.
I think that's for the next application.
Was that on the other one, was it?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, okay, I knew there was a lot that was angled, all right, okay. Again, you've got some comments on here. Paul has written them up in red. PRC, their comments are, you know, you guys shouldn't be approving these things until everything is done right up to snuff.
And I agree with that generally, and I believe,
Yeah.
you know, the comments that are left remaining generally are not of major substance
I
that we
know,
would hold up.
but there's a bunch of them, Mark. That's the trouble, Mike, there's several in there. Look, I talked to Josh, I've already talked to some of the board too. We're not trying to hold you up, we want to work with you. This thing has been the biggest pain in the butt that we've had in a long time, this whole project. I think in defense of that, I think this board would be willing to have another meeting this month. If you could get this stuff done, get it all in, get it where we can see it like this, you know, where everybody has an opportunity to look at it more than the day before the meeting,
Understood.
okay? So can we
Understood.
table, were you guys okay with tabling? Tom, I know we're not happy doing this either, and we're not trying to hold you up. But we're more than willing to even have another meeting this month.
We could do that.
We'll do that, just to help you get through this process. But, you know, we go back to the PRC, Josh, myself, these guys are like, what the hell are you guys doing? You know, you're giving approvals on stuff that aren't really done.
And Mr. Chairman, in response to that, you know, we did get PRC comments last week, and we sent revised plans in like 3 days in response to those comments. So,
Yeah.
you know, we sent revised plans, you know, directly after the previous planning board meeting. So
Well, again,
I understand
that's-
the PRC stance on
Yeah.
wanting to have everything addressed. And again, I generally agree on that in kind of broad preliminary terms, but I think the items we're talking about are very detail-oriented. But if the board feels that these comments need to be 100% addressed before the board can be in a position to act, then, you know, that's the way the board's going, that's the way we'll go.
I think that's, with the number of red items I'm seeing here,
Yeah, I
maybe
mean-
some of them aren't big, some are maybe.
I would argue that most are not, like, you know, stormwater maintenance agreement needs to be filed, access easement needs to be filed. These generally can't be done until the board approves the project for the most part.
Like you're saying, that one lot, you know, reducing the size of the thing or something. it should
Of the
be
unit itself, I mean, we're not talking about making the size of the lot smaller, and I think you know, there's a footprint area they have to work within, and that's one of 60 lots, and generally, the town, they have to come for, you know, building permits for every single unit that comes before, you know, to get built. So, again, I feel that the comments that were presented back to us were, you know, fairly minor, ones that we are 100% confident that can be addressed with town staff, but if this board would rather us come back in a couple weeks with these addressed, we can do that.
Are there certain ones that you have reservations about?
I don't have reservations with them, I mean, it's just, the comments are more statements of fact than some of them, you know, that if easement needs to be filed, five-acre maintenance agreement needs to be put in place, we agree. These aren't things that typically are done prior to planning board approval. They're typically things that town won't accept Mylars for signature until you've proved that you've addressed these things. But again, it's already, you know, first week of May. We've been blessed with some nicer winters, but traditionally it's a short building season, and last thing we want to do is delay this and have the site work be done in the wet fall months. So
Understood. Jim, look at the next one, they're number 37, stormwater maintenance agreement is to be provided. Well, that's all paperwork, I understand.
Right.
But, you know, it needs to get addressed.
Understood, and like I said, it's typically how this board has always handled comments of that nature is,
Yeah.
that would be a condition of approval that would need to be done. Traditionally, there's been a number of conditions that the board would place, you know, the outstanding comment letter being one of those conditions. And we have no problem accepting those conditions.
We've given approvals, you know, final approvals, subject to this and that. But, you know, one or two little items, not a big deal. I think this is the first I've seen of these comments right here.
Well, I think they said it was created an hour ago. I mean, that's,
Yeah, well, see, this is, so whatever it is, I don't know. I mean, it's based on what the last submittal was, I suppose. but-
Right, which we submitted on Friday, right, so he
Yeah,
turned
so
around.
that gives us, you know, what, the weekend, you got 1 day. you know?
Right, yeah, and I.
So anyways, let's cut to the chase.
Yeah,
How about we do this? If you can get this stuff all done, have all these reds turned to black again, so to speak, for in 2 weeks, get it in ahead of time, and show it on your drawing, show them what you're doing, and so on and so forth. Anything that needs to be shown on a drawing, and then present it, and we'll have another meeting on it, okay?
understood.
Is that fair enough with you guys?
That's fair.
Okay.
Can work with that.
No, not trying to hold you up, just, we don't like catching it from other people in the town, what's going on, you know? Doesn't work for anybody that direction either, okay?
Understand, Mr. Chairman,
All right,
thank you,
So
appreciate
you
it.
want to table it to, what's the date, what would the date be
Seventh.
for another meeting?
May 21st?
Is that it? Yeah, 7th, yeah, 21st?
Yeah.
Okay, so you want to make a motion?
Make a motion to table the Bellaterra till May 21st.
Okay, need a second.
Second.
All in favor? Okay, we're good, we'll do that, and that way we got everything
Tony,
up to date, and you're on
Tony.
2 weeks and you move on.
I do have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
And one of the things that I'm reading through on this, and I know in the past you've said, okay, you know, one owner, everything, you're not gonna need an HOA. But are you gonna file an offering plan with the state attorney general's office justifying the reasoning for not having the HOA?
I don't think there's any intent to do that, no.
Is it something that's required?
No, I don't, if it's all one common ownership, as far as I know, I'm not an attorney, but as far as I know, an HOA is not required.
I think it might be something you want to check, because some of the stuff I'm reading through to me implies that even though it's one ownership because of the number of parcels you have, the roadway is going to also be owned by, you know, 800 Phillips Road LLC, has to have its tax back number on it, and all that has to go along with it. But there's also this offering plan that whether or not you're going to have the HOA, it has to be something that's filed with the Attorney General's office.
Well, I'll take a note of that, and I'll speak with Tom, and he can speak with his attorney. Again,
Even if it's something, you know, because it talks about there's de minimis offerings, which restricts it, it gives you a waiver from it, but this is not de minimis. This is a large development. I think that's something that needs to get resolved through the state attorney general's office
Understood.
first before we could say no HOA for this development, particularly since all the people that are going to be in these houses are going to have to be on somebody else's right of way, somebody else's road. It's a private road. There has to be something in place that makes sure that road is maintained. It's nice to say it's all owned by the same person, but that doesn't really mean anything.
well, for a standard
Yes.
apartment complex, what, I mean, does each
Well, this is
tenant
not,
have?
this is not an apartment complex.
You're right, but they are for
This
rent.
is, this is a single-family subdivision.
Right, and each
That
unit
is
is for
not-
rent and owned by a common.
That has nothing to do with it. This is a single-family subdivision that happens to be made up of 2-unit townhouses that are all on individual, single-family parcels that don't have access to a public right-of-way like we talked about. The only way you have it is over land that is owned by Mr. Thomas through this corporation. And my understanding of this regulation is that the offering plan, whether or not it's something that's going to be needed, because if one of those parcels is ever sold to somebody else, right in the middle of it, you need the HOA.
Of course, we
So you
understand.
need to have the documentation up front justifying not having it and have a sign-off from,
All right, Mr. Anderson, we'll look into that, and we'll make sure we have a response to that for the next meeting.
All right.
Excuse me, Derek, I did check with my HOA attorney, and you can't get you can't have an HOA if they're all owned by one person.
is that something that we verified through the town?
I'll have to research that further.
Yeah,
Get
like,
a note of it.
we'll have to research it ourselves.
Yeah, that's fine.
We're not looking to do anything, you know, that isn't above board, but just want to make sure we're doing what must be done.
Yeah. You know, again, I'm not an attorney, but I read through a whole bunch of stuff, and I see this right in the middle of the requirements. It just falls.
Okay.
Okay, you're gonna check into it too then?
Yep, we'll check into it.
See what we come up with. All right,
Thank you.
okay, thanks, Mike. Thanks, Tom.
Bring that letter tomorrow.
Okay, Mark, you want to go ahead with the second one?
First schedule item on the agenda tonight, Emerald Hair Salon sign located at 790 Ridge Road. Applicant Samantha Reed is requesting sign approval to allow a 10-square-foot building-mounted facade sign and associated tenant panel in an existing monument sign for a new salon business on a 1.2-acre parcel located in a commercial outdoor storage district under Section 265-7 of the Code of the Town of Webster.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Samantha Reed. I'm one of the co-owners of Emerald Hair Salon over on Ridge Road. We're just looking to get the pre-existing sign for the previous salon that has moved to another location and just change it over to our own. We have temporary signs up right now, but we would love to get a permanent sign up, as soon as we can.
It looks like you're just replacing it where there was a sign previously?
Yes.
Same thing. Is that lit inside, or?
Yes, they are both lit. There is one on the side of the building, and then there is a pole sign in the front of the building. So both of them are lit. One is double-sided, one is single-sided, of course, because adhered to the building, so.
Okay. Anybody, any issues with it?
Well, is it Emerald Hair Salon or Evoke Hair Salon?
It's Emerald Hair Salon. Evoke was the salon that was previously there.
Previous to that? So, do we see the sign that says Emerald?
Look on your screen. It's the image at the bottom there.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's the sign.
That's no opaque white background? It's not gonna wind up being a big white.
It's kind of not translating well, but it's like a lightish green color, but it's a paler background.
Okay. Anybody? Any concerns? Yes? Everybody's okay? Okay. We'll move forward. Go ahead. Sure.
Town of Webster Planning Board consider request by applicant Samantha Reed for a 10-square-foot building-mounted facade sign and associated tenant panel in an existing monument sign for a new salon located at 790 Ridge Road on a 1.2-acre parcel having SBL number 079.17-1-15.1. The planning board classifies a proposed action as a type 2 action under section 617.5C9 of the State Environmental Quality Review Regulations and therefore is not subject to further review.
Okay, motion need a second.
Second.
And a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion for approval.
I'll make a motion for the Emerald Hair Salon sign located at 790 Ridge Road. For a 10-square-foot building-mounted facade sign and a monument sign as presented.
Okay, we have a motion, need a second.
Second.
And a second, all in favor?
Aye.
We're good. Good luck with your business.
Thank you so much.
Yep, have a good night.
You too.
Next item on the agenda, Westwood Estates Section 3, located in the northwest corner of Schlegel and Salt Roads. The applicant, Mike D'Amico, is requesting final site plan and subdivision approval associated with the construction of 39 single-family residents, 36 fronting Alyssa Way, 3 fronting on Schlegel Road, on a 47.11-acre parcel located in a single-family residential district, R3, under sections 26910, 29619, and 350-12 of the Code of the Town of Webster.
Good evening. Matt Tomlinson, Marathon Engineering, representing the owner. I also have Mike D'Amico Jr. with me here as well. We've obviously been before this board a number of times over the years through the overall preliminary and the first 2 sections of this site plan. What's the graphic that's illustrated on the screen for you folks, outlined in red, is what we're talking about now, which would be the Section 3 final approval that we are requesting. The total subdivision, just as a reminder to the board, was approved at 106 lots. 39 of those are in this 3rd section, and this section takes the dead end of Alyssa Lane all the way out to the intersection on Schlegel Road to complete the road network for it, and there'll be 3 frontage parcels on Schlegel as well towards the west side of the project. Since we've been before this board last, in between sections 2 and 3, we've had numerous meetings with town staff and progressed the discussions relative to the culvert and the stream crossing that was always necessary as part of this section. That entailed quite a bit of coordination with the town engineer, town staff, highway superintendent, and the sewer department on the sanitary sewer crossing of that stream and the culvert configuration. And it also included our reaching out to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers because we wanted to make sure that we had I's dotted and T's crossed as it related to permitting for that culvert. And we received the Army Corps, which I believe was in the engineer's report back in the first week in April, which triggered us to be able to come in for this approval here with the board. We have received several comments from both PRC as well as town engineer. We have responded in letter form to those comments with no corresponding plans because we did not have adequate time to update all of the plans. So we understand that based on the last conversation, we may be making another trip to come back and see you, which is okay. However, I would echo the majority of Mr. Ritchie's comments related to easements and filings of that nature. Those typically are done once approval is granted because that's when comments are finalized for those. But we recognize there are several comments here that we've addressed. I wanted to at least get the board a letter for discussion purposes in case there was anything that caught the board's eye related to the actual plan. I did want to point out 2 or 3 of those comments that we've addressed in writing again, but just to flag those for the board. Generally, all the way 1 through 9 are very standard and straightforward items that get done after approval, such as easement filing, sequence of coordination with the town, sequence of construction, coordination with the town. Obviously, we've got a new roadway entrance onto the county road being Schlegel, so we're coordinating with county DOT there, and have already received comments from them. Comments 9, 10, 11, and 12 are really specific to erosion control, stockpile locations. We, of course, will be compliant with all DEC regulations from a stormwater permitting standpoint. This entire project already has coverage through the DEC and the MS4, being the town of Webster, because we, as the DEC encourages developers to, took a look at this as on a global scale, if you will, for the whole project, because the whole thing was designed with a cohesive treatment of stormwater. So coverage for that already exists. However, we will be required to obtain a 5-acre waiver. This section comprises approximately 16 acres of disturbance in total, with some on various sides of the stream channel, and therefore we'll be very cognizant of working with town staff and the town engineers department during construction to ensure that all requirements are met. The only real substantive, I'm mispronouncing that, so I'll give up, is really related to the guardrail at the culvert, which I'm going to touch on in a second, and then also access to the 7-acre open space. So if we could switch to the grading plan, which is probably a couple sheets higher in the set, excuse me, yeah, right there. At the creek crossing itself, we're providing over 100 feet in width on the west side of the stream for access point, and I believe that the specific open space that was mentioned is open space, I believe is designated 3.1, which is to the east side of the Alyssa Way. And you can see south of the stream there, we've left a gently graded slope for access. That width of that open space where it touches the town's right-of-way is over 90 feet wide. So we believe that there is substantial provision made for access to that open space from a right-of-way consistent with the access points elsewhere, which are anywhere from 30 feet up to 100 feet in width. That brings me back to the guardrail discussion. The original design, we extended the culvert ends outside of the right-of-way to provide adequate AASHTO recommendations for clearances for shoulders with minimal slope before we slope down to the culvert ends. If the town desires guardrail to be installed, we need to have a conversation with the highway department relative to that. And the guardrail may allow for slight shortening of that culvert, which of course would make the Army Corps very happy. But the intention would be to leave the design as is. If guardrail goes in and it restricts access to that open space, we would then have to explore either an easement between lots or a different configuration to provide that open space. So again, just wanted to mention that because we are cognizant of the comments received. So with that, those were the primary comments, if you will, that are going to take some addressing. And I'd be happy to answer any other questions that the board may have related to the proposed plan.
Mike, or Matt, on lot 318, can you just move that down a little bit, the screen? There you go.
Yes.
And where it comes in, the wetland area there? That comes in, is that? Where's the access there that goes into that open space? Where am I looking here?
Into the open space west and north of the property?
Yeah. It was really narrow, really tight. I mean, if the town's gonna take it and they're gonna mow it, it'd be almost an impossible thing to get into.
Well, 318 is
Maybe it
on
wasn't
the
318, I
north.
thought it was 318.
318 is on the north side. There's a
316.
There's a total of 170 feet of that open space that covers the right-of-way that provides access. Now, the stream channel does encroach on a portion of that 160 feet, but only 20 to 30 feet of it is encumbered by the stream. So there's a significant width of that open space that is available.
Okay, so for the town to go in there and mow or whatever they'd have to do, how would they get in there? How would they access that?
There's 116 feet wide there to access it from, Tony,
So it would be
Mr.
good?
Chairman, so I'm not entirely sure.
Okay.
Where's the 116 feet in the front?
It's totally between lots 318 and 319. That entire width through there is touching the public right-of-way, which the town will own and maintain. So anywhere along that strip, the town can enter the open space.
I don't think that the concern on access was on that side of things, because I believe there's other access points from previous
That's a
sections of the
larger
development.
section, correct, yep.
It's really this open space area
Right.
adjacent to the tributary near the culvert that was the concern.
Yeah, and again, that area is 96 feet wide along the right-of-way there. We've graded that on a 1-on-6 or 1-on-8 slope, which is extremely traversable by mowers, walkers. Sorry, I don't know if that's me or...
What's the width of the very narrowest part?
I
Right
think
there.
that comes down to about 62 feet, but I can get that exact dimension for you in the future.
You know what, that'd be a good
Between the
idea, to
lots.
just mark that on there so that it's on the record, that that's what would be there, you know?
Sorry, I don't know if I'm the one giving feedback there. Yes, we can absolutely do that. That's
You know what
no
I'm
problem.
saying?
But it's definitely in excess of the 30-foot strips that are provided elsewhere
Okay.
for access to open
It
space.
just it looks, looking at it, it looks narrow and, you know, how steep that slope is, it's,
Yeah, it's pretty flat for a section through there. but
yeah.
We can
Yeah.
provide additional detail for that, absolutely.
Okay.
Matt, I suggest you talk to Pat and get the plans in before the PRC meeting on the 16th of May, so that it can be addressed by the highway superintendent in advance of that meeting, and the plans reflect what he would like to see.
Absolutely. Yeah, sounds like this board's having a special meeting. I don't know if there would be...
Yeah, if
on the
that's okay.
agenda If we can resolve it or not, but...
We don't want to leave these plans just hanging out there and make them all subject to this and that and so on and so forth. It's caused problems.
Understood.
So if we can get it all compiled and it's done, everything is on there, everybody's okay with it, it's signed and done. So, and again, like I just said before, you know, I think this board is willing to have an extra meeting, even just to help you guys get through this stuff.
Yeah, we appreciate that. Was the question about access to open space also from the highway department? Is that who I should talk to about just
Yeah.
making sure that they're satisfied?
I've
Okay.
got one more question. On that particular open space, you've got the creek that cuts right through it.
Yes, sir.
How are they accessing the eastern part of that? How are they getting across the creek, or how's the access going on that side?
I don't know that there's a desire to access it or a need to access it.
How's it gonna be maintained? How would it be maintained?
I don't know the town's plans for maintenance of open space. I think there's discussion about dedicating that to the town, but it's not intended to be continually mowed, to my understanding. That'll revert.
So in other words, there's no access to that side?
We are not providing deeded access to the other side of the creek. That would have had to have been done in Section 2 if it was requested, because there is no portion of the Section 3 lots that border the other side of the creek for that open space.
All right, that's what was originally. on
What
there,
about
yes.
between lot 303 and 304? Oh, that wouldn't, it wouldn't get you on the other side.
Yeah, it touches essentially the back there.
Right.
Yep, yep. So I don't know all of the conversations that happened when Section 2 was approved, but that was not something that was requested or required at that point. I don't know if the intention for what that open space wants to be has changed between now and then, but that's been a couple of years, obviously, since this board has seen it.
Okay. All right, so then you can address any of those comments that need to be
Yeah, I
addressed?
think the plan changes are the ones that I highlighted, which we'll work with the highway department and the town engineer to resolve. And again, the easements, the signatures, those kind of things, of course, are just, those are done after approval and prior to filing the subdivision maps.
All right,
So
so you,
it's supposed to be access points.
Matt, can you clarify the other open space area that's behind the homes that front on Schlegel? That's land dedicated, proposed to be dedicated to the town as well?
I don't know that I have 100%. Meaning, is it designated as open space in the overall plan? Yes, it was. Yep, that is correct. And the access to that would obviously be off of Schlegel for the portion that touches the right-of-way. That was designated open space 3.2 on the original overall approvals.
okay. Anybody, anything else?
No.
That's it, I guess. So you wanna do that, you wanna table it to the 21st?
Unless you're willing to consider approving now.
Well, you know, we could, but then we get into dealing with everybody else, you know.
I understand. It's
Comments.
I don't anticipate any issues trying to resolve these with Pat and with the town engineer and Josh prior to, and we'll plan on being back on the 21st.
Probably doesn't really hold up anymore. It's probably a better way to do it.
21.
All right, motion to table it.
I'll make a motion to table the Westwood Estates Section 3 to our May 21st meeting.
Because my house is right there.
Second.
Means nobody's gonna be.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, all in favor? All right.
Aye.
Very good. All right, good.
Thank you
See
very
you in
much.
a couple of weeks.
Appreciate it.
All right. Anything else about your minutes?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the April 9th, 2024 planning board minutes.
Second. And a second, all in favor? Aye. Good, okay. All right, guess that's it for the night. Thanks for coming in.
See you in 2 weeks. All right.